The fundamentally brilliant concept for a game, created by the game development elite in the industry and supported by thousands of bored players worldwide who just want to experience something new and fresh, are now at odds, because the game is going through some questionable updates. What are these updates, you ask, dear viewer? Well, I'll cover that in a second. But first, for everyone who doesn't know, the game Deadrop is a new in-development FPS with a mix of Battle Royale and Escape from Tarkov looting mechanics, created by Midnight Society that was founded by Dr. Disrespect and a couple of experienced guys in the gaming industry. This game from its inception had pull like no other. When Snapshot 5 dropped, I was playing that bad boy for weeks, with zero game polish, no reward system to keep me entertained, and a ping that would deter even the most veteran FPS players. With no servers outside US and horrible hit registration, the game was still entertaining enough for me to lose hours on it, just maxing out my inventory, terrify people with my shotgun, and have streamers complain about stream sniping. It didn't last long until that got old for me though, and I left it all behind for a bit. Lack of key customization made it hard to play while I was switching between FPSs, and the fun part of me dumping on two viewer Andes had me losing interest after a while. The game being developed and advertised mainly by Dr. Disrespect of course meant that most of the community inside the game would be Dr. Disrespect fans, which in turn meant only one thing, that everyone you play against is either a stream sniper or Doc himself, which is just as fun as it sounds. But that's besides the point. The game kept me engaged for one single reason during Snapshot 5. I thought that the variant ID chips players drop were going to be excluded from the wipe when new snapshots arrive. So here I was, daily grinding to get as many of those variant IDs before people stopped playing, and to try to get as many rare ones as possible. I amassed around 400 unique variant IDs, which was nearly half of my inventory at the time. But then 2 weeks after the release of the snapshot, there was a Q&A and apparently the variant IDs would get wiped, along with all the comics and other collectibles in the game. That was devastating news for me, and I stopped playing. So much so that even in the future updates, I didn't find a reason to playtest the game. Why would I? Nothing that I do right now in any shape or form differentiates me from the player who will be playing this game in 2 years from now, except for the randomly generated visor cortex that I got with the bot access pass. The way we give feedback is streamlined, and nothing I put in there matters. The inventory gets swiped on snapshot basis, and once the novelty of a new snapshot wears off, or my inventory is full, there's nothing more to play for. I did try to find some fun by annoying people when voice comms first came out, only to end up getting reported for abuse because I was blasting music on my mic while killing players, intentionally giving away my location. That was the only time my actions had any consequences on the game, because they introduced a hotfix with a mute button in the following week. I don't know, I thought it was funny, but I guess not. It's a serious FPS, everyone. We're in a tournament all the time. So an entire snapshot flew by me because I had no interest to try it or play it. The hive-minded community didn't appeal to me, none of my friends played this game, and nothing in the game that I do had any meaning. I do feel like I missed out a bit to try the vendor and other stuff in the game that was introduced in Snapshot 6, but it's all gonna get reset anyway, and I'll get to try it in Snapshot 7. That is more or less the same with the added race at the start. And now that you're all caught up with everything that went down with Deadrop in the past 2 years and what the game is about, let me tell you how this game is looking more like a cash-out scam than a full-fledged game. With the introduction of Snapshot 7 and teasers around it, they were advertising this huge update for the game.
In the pre-show, this is the biggest snapshot that we have ever done.
But all they did was add a race before the shootout, DCM modes that no one plays, so we won't even talk about them, and they rolled out their first in-game product, driver keys. Driver keys basically get you a vehicle cosmetic, a plate cosmetic, and a few exotic crates that can include one of the following items. Driver keys in of itself don't even bother me. Yes, it's a predatory tactic because they're only available for a limited time and then never again, but hey, we can buy something now no one will ever have in the future. So if the game becomes popular, the account value of people who do buy into this will be huge. Some people will drop insane stacks on these just to trade them up in the future for insane value, and the devs know this very well and intentionally target these loyal fanatics. Of course, if the game tanks, they won't be worth shit, but it's a risk they will take because they trust that the game is going to slap. To a certain degree, it makes sense to monetize along the way to increase your team size, get a good budget going to mitigate risk on investment, but this shit just takes the cake. With the driver keys and the Snapshot 7, they introduced loot boxes. You know, the deprecated money printing machine most games script for battle passes? Ah yes, the good old loot boxes are back, and what better way to make money than on loyal fans and gambling addicts trying to complete the collection. As you may have noticed, my tone shifted, and the hatred for loot boxes is noticeable. But what you don't know is that I don't hate loot boxes. As I've mentioned, they should try to monetize along the way to mitigate risk and ensure quality product, especially since they're developing a free-to-play game. What I do hate is the fact that in the previous streams, they announced that they will be bringing battle passes to the game, early with Season 0 being the first one. Are you starting to see the picture? This will be the first game in my memory that not only will have a battle pass, but will also have loot boxes. And I think it's justified that I'm pissed off. I know that most of the loyal fan base will just brush it off, chill out the cash, and move on, and honestly, more power to you. Thanks for supporting the development. But for a game that isn't even completed yet, to be this predatory on monetization, like what the fuck are they thinking? But Romchy, you won't even be able to purchase these loot boxes. They are just a gift as part of the driver key packages. Rob said so in the AMA. Ah, so please tell me how buying an infinite amount of driver packages won't automatically get me all these crates possible. You're basically buying the exotic crates, but it's neatly packaged into a skin for a car, so it seems like you're purchasing the car skin and thus avoiding any gambling laws in gaming. With just the original Game Access Pass, the NFT sale, they made nearly $500,000. They then introduced the tower key that was $20 a pop, and now we have the driver keys at $10 a pop. And next up, we get the first season battle pass, and I imagine all the exotic crates and merch you will buy along the way. I can only imagine they made bank on all of these products, selling a free-to-play game and a customization that isn't even in the game yet, and somehow the servers are still empty. They're preying on one main emotion here, and it's fear of missing out. Everything is exotic, everything is limited time, and there is just no end to how much money people will spend on an unfinished game. I'm just wondering where all the money is going, and how much more do we need to spend before we start seeing a game people can enjoy and play even when it's 2 weeks into the snapshot. It's been 5 days since the release of the snapshot, and we're already back to 5-player lobbies. DCMs that nobody plays apparently, and I can't even find a match on the EU servers. So much for the huge snapshot update. Everything is the same except for your inventory and the added bonus where you can drive to the tower now, which is cool, I guess? But hey, don't just take it from me. Let's see what Robert Bowling had to say in one of his recent AMAs.
So this is our first time monetizing the game in this way. And so, we have committed to developing this game openly and transparently. And that means everything from the gameplay systems to like how we monetize it, to how we market it, to how we introduce cosmetics, to how we introduce new items. Now, obviously, 90% of the game is gameplay focused, right? And that's what we've been focused on for the first year and a half. But, the flip side of that is there's also a minor amount of like the business side that we have to do, which is like, how are we monetizing this, right? Like the general thinking is this is a free-to-play experience. We all know that, right? Which means how we'll be monetizing it is through cosmetics. And then we'll, also there's plans to have a battle pass. We've already announced when we do our test season 0, sort of like customizing your character and your world and your vehicle and your player hideout. That is currently really the foundation of how we're looking at monetization for Deadrop. What that allows us to do is like two things. One, it allows us to keep the game free to play to everybody who just wants to play and not worry about that stuff, but then give like really cool cosmetics and collectibles to people who do care about that stuff. I am one of those people, right? Like I am somebody who buys characters that I like in Fortnite or in Call of Duty or in other games. Like my sort of rule is if I'm playing a game a lot, then I generally want to customize in it.
Exactly, Rob. That's why this is an issue. You don't have a complete product. None of us know if we'll play this game once it's released, or will it die off like Rogue Company or Halo Infinite. So if you know you don't buy stuff before you put the time in, why are you forcing your core audience to do it with the limited edition car wraps? Yes, the game needs to make money. The fact that they're creating a free-to-play game that will be accessible to everyone is awesome. But if no one cares about what they produce, then no one will want to buy skins, no one will want to play the game, and the entire project will be worth jack shit. The game should be, needs to be monetized in a sustainable way, so it works for years to come. The monetization that they introduced here is straight up predatory to the core audience that decided to support it in the first place. So this for me is quite a polarizing moment. I don't know if the game will succeed. I don't come back to it. 10k other players don't come back to it. Why would I buy a skin for something I play once and forget about it?
Exotic crates that we have were built in a very specific way. We have done it very differently because, and let me give you like a comparison. So normally a traditional loot crate, as we generally think about them in the industry, is thinking of like, oh, that loot crate that you're trying to sell as many of them as possible. And therefore you've structured it in a way that what you get in there is complete random chance, which means you're going to be getting a lot of duplicates. And you have to churn through a bunch of duplicates of common to ever hope to get a legendary. Meaning like they want you to buy tons of crates in order to collect everything. we have specifically not designed our exotic crates that way because it is not meant to be that, oh, we hope you buy 1,000 of them sort of thing. That's the reason, one, we're not letting you buy the crates directly, because we don't want to encourage you to buy thousands of them to try to get a bunch of duplicates, right? Which means if you had 100 crates, then you are guaranteed to get 100 of the items, right? There's 100 unique items, 10 of each category. And if you open 100 boxes, you're going to get every single one of those items.
What's the point of that design? Other than to encourage low spenders to go max out because they know they will get the exotic item eventually. First of all, this can have a severely shady implementation where the exotic item will only start dropping after you open half the required crates. And second of all, this isn't any better than just doing what Valorant does and put an in-game currency price on the skin. It's sort of the exact same thing, except for the gambling addicts and kids who will get addicted and spend more. If items are guaranteed and you already have a season pass in mind, why the double monetization? Call of Duty is a $1 million franchise and all they have is a battle pass that can be reactivated each season by just playing, no loot boxes, just a fresh new skin design every week. Why wouldn't that be enough?
The driver's key packages were really designed to like, hey, if you want to customize your vehicle at this stage, then here's some cool legendary vehicle wrap and a legendary license plate as a collectible. And then if you all, the exotic crates are like a really nice bonus, because some of the feedback that we were getting internally was like, oh, it's cool that we have this vehicle stuff, but it would also be nice to start seeing what some of the character customization stuff could look like and some of the additional weapon customization. Because up until this point, we've only done the Deep Freeze collection. Our goal is to not have the toxic type of monetization.
How is this not toxic? How is this not gambling? Some people will get the exotic skin on the first try and some people will get it on the 100th try. Which again is fine, but with the implementation, why not just put a price on the item if I'm guaranteed to get it?
I mean, the reality is we have to monetize the game somehow. How? I don't give a shit about, right? Like whatever gets the job done.
I give a shit about how the game is monetized because most monetization practices today are fucking shit. And this is not an exception.
Caramel, how do you justify the inclusion of loot boxes this early on the development process before having a tangible game for players to play? Expanding on that question. How does Midnight Society justify putting its most dedicated players, founders in this case, on a 30-day timer to pay $370 to get these items or be at risk of not seeing them again? On a personal level, this feels greatly moves away from the core values of the standard. Okay, so we touched on a lot of this stuff. So the driver's key obviously is the first step at customization. And it's a sort of thing is like, we'll see if you guys like it. If you like it, great, get it. I think it's a cool collectible. But like in terms of like, I mean, we gotta monetize and we have to test out these monetization systems.
No, Rob, we don't like it. The core values initially brought up when these discussions happened in the past were not bleed my core audience dry before the game even releases. What kind of monetization is so necessary? Where's the money going from the initial investments that this needs to happen now and on a timer? When the idea was produced, 10k people jumped on board and cashed out $500,000 to participate in testing of something that was only in your imagination. We stood by you with our money ready to literally crowdfund the game, and later on the game opened up to everyone for $20 and then 10, and the 2 servers we have are still empty. What monetization do you need? Who is bleeding this company dry of funds? I was able to live 2 years off of 30k, and you're telling me that 40 of you already managed to sink $500,000 in less than 2 years? May I remind you that for the same price I paid to be able to participate in the development of this game, I can have access to a completed game with seasonal content already complete in Escape from Tarkov. So how can you justify this is necessary at this stage before you give us a reason to play? And I know a lot of people will think at this point, why don't you play that game then? Because for better or worse, I would like to stand behind the project as it course corrects. I would love to see a full server of people enjoying the progressive BR design of Deadrop and come back to the game repeatedly, enjoy the core gameplay loop rather than have the first project of Midnight Society flop over greed because they are too focused on making a profit at this stage rather than to do proper marketing, make a proper gameplay loop, and get more players in. Doc always says that the industry is boring, stale, and so far beyond the initial novelty of new design and new concepts introduced in Deadrop, the repetitive gameplay of the highway and the somewhat exhilarating infill-exfil sector with Freeze coming up gets boring and stale without something to grind for or something to compete for. And that's why beyond the first week of every snapshot, the servers are empty. Focus on that! So to reiterate, no, we don't like it, Rob. But not the skins or the availability to purchase them, but we don't like the limited availability. The scalping of your core audience for something they might not even use. And we don't like the fact that you're trying to use us as cash cows before you give us any tangible evidence that the general audience will even have a rewarding gameplay loop once the game is finished.
And really, the only thing that we wanted to get out of the crate experience was the mystery box aspect, right? So like my kids buy a lot of toys that are mystery box. I really enjoy mystery box experiences. Doc really enjoys like the CSGO knife opening experience. And so like that ability to sort of like have that mystery prize was really the effect that we were going for, not the shitty parts of loot crates.
Yeah, well, you can't have one without the other, can you, Rob? And you know what? The fact that nobody wants to stand up to you or Doc when you say that you like CSGO crates is crazy. So even though I'm not paid for this, here's the monetization that you could have that would absolutely benefit everyone. Proceed with the Battle Pass. That will keep income coming quarterly or monthly, depending on how you develop seasons. But I would suggest quarterly. Then in the in-game store, create bundles with matching outfits. For example, let's say you make a bunny skin. Now in order to fully enjoy the skin, you'll need a bunny helmet, gloves, shorts, shirt, and shoes. Now you create a flexible bundle where a person can buy the full skin for price instead of opening crates one by one. Now here's the kicker. When you play games, you receive progress towards earning a free loot box, just like the old Overwatch. And in these loot boxes, there are a bunch of random drops. For instance, the bunny skin. Not the full set, but one piece. So now I open a loot box and I get bunny shorts. And now when I check the shop, the bunny bundle is slightly reduced in price. And I can purchase the full bundle to become a bunny, making the entire purchase more streamlined, but still have the mystery effect to it. Some free-to-play players might grind the game out and try to get as many loot boxes as possible to get the full skin for free. And some people will opt to buy the skin outright instead of opening a 100 case for it. And with this adaptable strategy, you will also capture every purchase in between. And now for the last part of the monetization, create a season pass next to the battle pass. This season pass grants you small bonuses to your quests, experience, and buys you a perk at the vendor. Like extra shop items or extra dust when selling items or discounts for rebuying your items. This season pass can be upgraded by playing or by paying extra, and it refreshes every month, which would bring in some monthly revenue. The vendor bonuses wouldn't be paid to win, but more or less paid to recover. That's it. You keep the retarded loot box mechanic, you monetize via battle pass and season pass, and you have bundles in the shop. And at that point, the sky's the limit.
That is why we designed them with the pull without replacement strategy, is to sort of get the mystery box fun out of like, oh, cool, I got a nice surprise. It's one of the 100 things, without the stuff that we consider to be like not fun.
No, it's not fun and it's not a mystery. You get the items eventually. You're just buying them for a way higher price than you would if you had them in the in-game shop. It's really toxic monetization, and the fact that you can't even see that blows my mind.
Like, we're a free-to-play game, so we're always going to be releasing cosmetics that not everybody is going to get a chance to get. And by the nature of it, limited cosmetics are exciting. So, like, I don't think this would be the end of limited cosmetics in some sense, right? Because, like, even, you know, every game that has a battle pass sort of has that. Like Fortnite, you know, the stuff that you get in the battle pass in season 1, you can't get again, right? And that's generally the approach that most games take. And I actually like that approach. I like knowing that if I was there early and I got something early, that nobody else is going to have a chance to get that again. I like that personally.
Okay, Rob, just so you know, when Fortnite released, it was already a complete game that was free to play. So it made complete sense to have limited availability packs. And of course, yeah, introduce limited availability packs and bundles, but only once the gameplay loop is finished and people have a reason to come back to the game. And absolutely not now. But let me fix what you guys did. First of all, you're already treating us like players. Let me remind you we're supposed to be founders. We funded the project you're working on. Among other investors, I assume, but we forked over $500,000 for a fart in the wind. Not a complete game, not a game in beta, and not even a game in alpha. A literal fart in the wind. An idea that has now spawned this project. Why not create these limited edition items and give founders a discount? Why are we, who already paid for something that will be free, to help you out and to help you create the game, why are we just a wallet to you guys instead of what you obsessively repeat? Founders. I guess I have an entitlement issue, but then again, maybe I'm just misunderstanding my role here, or my value. There should absolutely be limited availability for some skins, but doing this before we all even know if we'll play this game 1 year from now is absurd. We're getting a Season 0 Battle Pass for free, and we have an NFT, and that's the only difference between us and whoever joins today. Oh wait, no it isn't, because they only have to pay $10 to join today, and we paid $50.
We've been saying this since the very first founder event in Los Angeles. is we're going to try stuff out. And if it's gross and it doesn't feel good, then let's not do it again. Right. But then if there's elements we like about it and we want to keep, then let's keep those elements and like move on. But this is the first of many things that we are going to try. And like, you know, let's just talk about it openly and honestly. And there's no wrong answer. All right, Dagger, with regards to microtransaction. Oh my God, are all these questions going to be about monetization?
Well, shit, Rob. What did you expect? You dropped something that literally redefines what Midnight Society stood for, shows all the founders they ain't worth shit other than the size of their wallet, and the update has nothing new to show except for the racing and the skins you can see during the race. What are we supposed to talk about? The UGC and the DCM content that is somehow so important? When the community won't even fill up the main game, and now we have 6 more game modes where we can further fragment the non-existent community? We are so late in the development stage, it's time to create a reason for people to play this game. So what is it gonna be? How is it going to compete with the BRs of the world or the Escape from Tarkovs of the world? Why are skins and testing out monetization more important when the entire project was funded from the get-go? I have never heard so many I can't talk about this statements from you than I have in the past 2 months. Transparency is going out the window, predatory monetization is here, and nobody plays the fucking game. Have you any idea how disrespectful it is for variants, people who decided to support not a game, not a product, but a mere idea before anything was even made, and shell out the amount of money that would give access to a full-fledged game and then realize that's not enough? Do you think I give a fuck about some NFT we got along the way? I came here to support a game that I knew from the get-go is going to be free to play, and now with these scammy monetization practices, you're showing me that what we did wasn't enough. I don't want free shit. I want the project that I backed to succeed, and this ain't it. The marked up prices on bullshit skins that I only see 5% of the time I play, and bullshit crates that don't even have a place in the game yet, aren't it. And it kind of reminds me of Overwatch 2, when it went free to play, and look how that shit turned out. No. The game isn't a scam, but the monetization practices as of right now are as close to it as possible. And they work, because the loyal fanbase of Dr. Disrespect is easy to exploit. They started selling pixel on screen before those pixels are even available on the screen. And this stops anything EA has ever done with their microtransactions. Yes, you can buy the vehicle wraps and use them in-game as another bonus, get all the crates that you can open on the website. But you know exactly what you're buying. Our beloved community member Cairo took it personally when Rob said this.
Most people will not have 100 crates.
Ding, 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 ding. I'm the biggest loser, everyone! We've done it! I am first to 100 fucking skins in Deadrop.
And he seems ecstatic on completing his bingo card.
And then just screenshot his bingo card.
That right there was $370.
Thank you, come again.
I hate the negativity of this video, and as you can hear, I'm passionate about this project, and I hope it does well. I want to see it succeed because watching Doc for so long made me hate most FPSs today. Nothing is unique, everything is washed out for modern audiences, and it's like a beacon of hope to think that he and his dev team could bring something refreshing and unique to the scene. It also seems that the game is progressing with each snapshot, and the fact that it's a vertical FPS extraction shooter, it has a unique value proposition for the gaming market, which means that the game, in my eyes, has huge potential. But damn man, my trust for the dev team is just fading and fading. I don't know if it's the communicated lies, the direction shifts, or just the blatant money scalping techniques. It's just starting to feel more and more like a cash grab than anything else. I imagine I'll get ratioed out of existence for posting this video, but someone has to point out this shit, and I fairly doubt I'm the only one thinking it. What are your thoughts on the monetization practices of Midnight Society?